I never read it. That's the part that still keeps me up at night. My wife left me a message 3 days before she died, and I didn't open it for 2 years. When I finally did, it changed everything I thought I knew about my life. My name is Robert. I'm 74 years old, and what I'm about to tell you, I wish I had learned 40 years ago. Margaret and I met in 1974. She was 22. I was 23. She laughed at everything I said, even when I wasn't funny. That should have told me something right there. We got married in October, small church, 40 people. She wore her mother's dress. I remember thinking, this is it. This is my person. And then life happened. I got a job offer, good money, long hours. Just for a few years, I told her. Just until we're stable. She smiled and said, okay, Robert. She always said, okay. That was Margaret. We had 2 kids, David and Claire. Great kids, smart kids. I missed most of it, not because I didn't love them, but because I told myself, working hard is love. David's first baseball game, I was in a meeting. Claire's school play, I saw 5 minutes of it on a VHS tape years later. Margaret never complained. She just handled everything. Every school pickup, every doctor's appointment, every homework session at the kitchen table. She built our entire family, while I built spreadsheets. By the time I was 55, I had done it. VP of operations, good salary, corner office. I remember sitting at my desk one evening, looking out the window at the city, and feeling completely empty. I drove home that night. Margaret had kept my dinner warm. She always kept my dinner warm. I sat down. She asked about my day. I said, fine. She told me Claire had gotten into her first choice college. I said, that's great, honey. And went to watch the news. I didn't even look up. Claire stopped calling me as much after that. Told myself she was just busy. David got married, and I forgot to give a toast at the wedding because I had stepped outside to take a work call. I still remember the look on his face when he realized. He didn't say anything. That was worse. And Margaret just kept going. She gardened. She read. She visited the grandkids. She made our house feel like a home, even when I made it feel like a hotel I checked into at night. Then in the spring of 2019, Margaret started getting tired. Not normal tired, different tired. She stopped gardening first, then the morning walks stopped. I told myself it was just age. She was 68. I was 69. We were getting older. That's life. But one morning, I came downstairs, and she was sitting at the kitchen table, just sitting, not reading, not drinking coffee, just sitting. I asked if she was okay. She looked at me for a long moment, and she said, I'm fine, Robert. The same words I had said to her for 40 years. 3 weeks later, she told me, ovarian cancer, stage 3. The room went very quiet. I remember the doctor's mouth was still moving, but I couldn't hear anything. Margaret went through 6 months of treatment, and for the first time in our marriage, I was there. I drove her to every appointment. I held her hand in every waiting room. I made terrible soup that she pretended was delicious. She laughed more in those 6 months than I remembered in years. But I could see her getting smaller, quieter, like a candle slowly going down. In December, 3 days before she passed, Margaret called me into the bedroom. She handed me her phone. She had typed out a long message in her notes app. I want you to read this, she said. Not now. Read it when you're ready. Took the phone. said I would read it that night, but that night I couldn't. The next day, I couldn't. And then on December 19th, Margaret passed away at home in our bedroom, with Claire on one side and David on the other, and me holding her hand. I didn't open the message for 2 years. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid. Maybe I thought reading it would make it more real. Maybe I just wasn't ready to hear what she had to say. One night in January 2022, I was sitting alone in the kitchen. The reading chair was still by the window. I hadn't moved it. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I opened the notes app, and I read it. I can't share every word. Those words are mine. But I'll tell you what she wrote. She didn't blame me. That was the first thing. She wrote, "I know you love us, Robert. I never doubted it, not once." And then she wrote something I will never forget for the rest of my life. She wrote, "But I want you to know what you missed, not to hurt you, but so you can be there for the time you still have." And then she listed them. Every moment, not with anger, with grace. David's face when he scored his first touchdown. I was traveling. Claire, crying in the car after her first heartbreak. Margaret held her alone. The night they lost power in a storm and the kids slept in the living room and Margaret told them stories until 2 a.m. I was at a conference in Chicago. She wrote, "They have beautiful memories, Robert. I made sure of that. So many of them you're not in." I sat in that kitchen for 3 hours, crying. I'm not embarrassed to say that. A 72-year-old man crying at a kitchen table, reading a message from his dead wife. But here's the part I want you to understand. She didn't end it there. The last thing she wrote was this: "You have grandchildren now, Robert, small ones. They don't know you yet. That can change. It's not too late." She wasn't giving up on me. Even from the end of her life, she was still pushing me forward. That was Margaret. The next morning I called David, not to talk about business, not to ask about kids, just to say, "Hey, can I come over Saturday?" There was a pause. And then he said, "Yeah, Dad, of course. That was 2 years ago. Now I have dinner with David's family every Sunday. I know my grandkids' teachers' names. I know which one hates broccoli and which one sleeps with a nightlight. I show up to things, even small things, especially small things. Last month, my granddaughter Emma, she's 6, she drew a picture at school. Her teacher asked her to draw someone who makes you feel safe. She drew me, an old man with white hair and glasses, sitting in a chair, holding her hand. I have it on my refrigerator, right next to Margaret's picture. If you're still working too hard, if you're telling yourself just a few more years, if your family is growing up in the background of your life, I'm asking you to stop. Just for a moment, stop and ask yourself, who's keeping your dinner warm? And when's the last time you even noticed? I can't go back. I know that, but I can show up now. And so can you. Margaret was right. It's not too late. It never is. Until it is.